Okay, so Thursday, August 17th, and I'm basically halfway through with this planking. Back here at the stern, I'm going to have to do some fudging. I was planning on putting a filler block of balsa or something in there, but the end here should be fared down to a fairly thin thickness right in here. So there's going to be a bit of work there to get that to look right. And I mean, I'm satisfied with it. It's going to take some putty to make this thing look right. After doing this, my advice, well, if you're using planking this thing, double up on the frames. For one thing, it's just not very strong. And then when you get to this bilge curve, things get they get kind of out of whack. You can see that shadow there. So what I've done actually is I've painted the inside, and I put these little strips in, of course, which unifies the whole thing and makes it like a solid plane instead of individual boards. And then I painted it with PVA glue. Up front, it's not that much of an issue. Up here, there's so many frames. It works well. However, back in this area, I should have started doubling up right here and here at least, and maybe even here. The turn in here is just too, and I actually kind of wonder whether this frame profile is correct. I don't know, but anyway, so you get an idea of what it's going to look like by sighting along it. And it's, basically these ships had kind of a bow section, and then pretty much the same profile all the way back, and then they came to the stern. So, all right, that's it for today. Okay, so it's Wednesday, August 23rd. I thought I'd make a little, I haven't done much on this for a few days. On this side, I decided to add frames because the other side, it's just too much of a span for that thin wood. Well, it'll be all right. I put these little stiffeners in and I coated it with PVA, so it's actually pretty good now. But I just decided to go ahead and double up on the frames on this side. And I started a little bit of filling. I have Bondo, but I really don't want to use that stuff because it sets up so fast you can't really spread it. This stuff here is some kind of acrylic. It's kind of nice because you can thin it with water and you can work it around. And it's, there's a lot of filler required. to get this thing right. And it's also non-toxic, which is definitely a plus. What else I've been doing is I've got the second, or the passenger seat of this 84 Mercedes recovered. Well, it's a seat cover, it's not original. The leather is just, leather originals, the car's just not worth it. I mean, you'd be spending $400 for one seat. And that's the rig right there. So driver's side's done. The next stuff here is maintenance and taking care of some issues that the previous guy neglected. So that's it for today. Okay, Monday, August the 28th, and just another little update. Got a lot of filling to do. I was thinking I should paint this thing one light coat of black acrylic, and then start sanding, and all the low spots will really show up. And here, there's a difference in thickness in the strip wood. This is the first batch I had, and this is the second batch. So I got a lot of sanding to do. So what I'm going to do is, I got to finish this area, and then starting where these side frames change from vertical to tilted, I'm going to start planking and plank all the way up to very close to the deck. So the plywood bulkhead will run along like this, and I think I'll stop it, and then I'll just cut a strip that'll wrap around, and it'll just be glued on the edge. Otherwise, if I glued it to the frame, it would tilt, and it's supposed to be vertical. This is too bad here, the way that worked out, but I think this frame should have been a little bit higher. I've noticed that Ben Ain model I made some errors on the deck of that, but the bulkhead is what really, when you're looking at the boat, you'll see the bulkhead. You won't really see, this won't be that obvious. So that after that, I think I'll start with the bulkhead. Although one option is to do the decks first, which might be wise actually, because the decks are they're going to have to be have to make them up out of squares of this stuff glued down, and then paint black, and then this, I think it'd be easier to do that first. Match all this stuff up with it. Match the bulkhead to the deck. So anyway, that's where we're at right now. Alright, so Friday, September 1st. And I put a coat of paint on this. I thought that would help me with my efforts to make this thing fair. One of the problems is that this wood if you really sand aggressively, it rags. So if you get paint on there, it doesn't rag, basically. I got this side done. You can see what I'm dealing with there. Smoothing. I got the other side planked up. So I thought, no, I think the next thing is I made, excuse me, a little stuff in there, but I made riveted plates. And so this is what they look like. Come on, focus. Yeah, so I've got a cut. And then these will go on. These will be the decking. So I've got a rivet line about every 22 inches or something like that. The plates are 2 feet by 4 feet. So I thought I'd put this stuff on now, and then I can trim. When I go to make the bulkhead, I can trim that stuff so it'll make a nice joint there. So that's what's going on now. Okay, so Saturday, September 2nd, and I'm putting in, I'm going to do the deck. I let it hang over, so when it comes time to put the plywood bulkhead up, I can trim it back and get a good fit there, hopefully. So yeah, this is just craft paper. And I use a Ponce wheel, roll it over, draw the lines first, make the grid. It's actually time consuming and rather boring. But it does make a nice surface for the deck. I mean, it gives you the rivets, and I'm going to do the same here. I'll cut a piece of paper this shape and run the rivet lines in it, and there'll be some doors. It'll be like I think there'll be a door here and here, so that'll be like the head. Or one option is to have the doors in here. You could have 4 doors. Because you got the head and the, what do they call it, the candle room or whatever, the light room. And then you got 2 separate forecastle areas, one for the seamen and one for the firemen. I think I'm tending towards having the doors on this, but I think normally, really, they were inside. Probably for weather reasons. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I haven't really done any more down below on this. You can see how much work I got to do there. My idea was, I don't know if it's going to be feasible, was to take this stuff, make bigger plates, of course, and do the hull. The only issue there is when you get into certain areas, there's quite a bit of distortion of a plate. And with the steel, I've seen a drawing of a plate. They actually had patterns for all the plates. So they knew what shape to cut. And then when it was bent, you had to assume you had a straight seam line. But I don't know, I may experiment with it. Turn the thing upside down, start at the keel, and work out. And if it doesn't work out in certain areas, it'll certainly work out in these areas here, which are the most visible. So I think it'll be worth doing. Quite time consuming. And actually, if I do that, I don't think I'm going to have to be quite so concerned with having it really fair in the hull. And what else have I been doing? I got this out of the car. And why isn't this thing focusing? It's really... There we go. Anyway, the odometer was not working. And apparently that's a common thing with this car. The speedometer is electronic, and the odometer is driven by an electric motor as well. And the drive gear for the odometer typically splits and falls off, so then you have no odometer. So I'm doing that, plus I'm putting in all new bulbs. I don't understand why this thing won't focus. It's really terrible. There's that. Maybe it doesn't know what to look at because of the clear surface on the or the window of the instrument cluster. So anyway, that's it for today. I'll put something up today online.